Hi, Angel here. I want to talk about anxiety today. I think so many of us suffer with anxiety. Sometimes it comes on, gradually over time and can get worse and worse till it becomes even debilitating. And sometimes it comes on real sudden. I myself had some bouts with anxiety. I've had like stage fright and some small rounds of anxiety in my life that were kind of predictable, maybe before performance or before public speaking, those kind of things, getting up in front of a class, kind of the normal kinds of anxiety, but not the kind that was scary and debilitating and out of place until after I had an injury. I don't know, I think it's been more than 5 years ago now that I had a bad fall onto my chest while snowboarding that cracked a rib in the back. That's how hard I fell onto my chest. And 'cause I have some spinal damage, and so that rib was apparently weak. And when I fell real hard, the concussion or the reverberation of force through my body actually cracked a rib in my back. Anyhow, it led to I didn't actually crack any ribs in front, but it was extremely painful in all of my front ribs because they were badly bruised. And I don't know if you've ever had a rib injury, but often bruised cartilage or bruised muscle and damaged cartilage or ligaments and tendons in there can actually be more painful than broken bones. So anyhow, after I had that injury, I started to have occasionally, especially while driving, and I think it had something to do with the way I was holding my hands, perhaps, and some damage to maybe I had some. Well, I actually had a second injury right after that, and so I had a whole string of pretty significant injuries. That's a different story for a different day. But in any case, the injury then seemed to trigger this more frequent anxiety or panic attack that I was having, and it was sudden and debilitating. And I only tell you that story to let you know that I have had my own my own struggles with it. So I'm speaking from experience. And the main point, though, is that beating yourself up, first of all, never helps, and telling yourself that it's something is horribly wrong with you or horribly out of place doesn't help either. Letting yourself know that it's normal in some circumstances. Humans tend to get into a panic attack or a state of frequent anxiety for numerous reasons. It can be nutritional. It can be triggered by injury, and it's the body being uncertain, being going into a heightened fight or flight response for maybe the wrong reason. Triggered numerous reasons. But the cure, the way to get out of it, to get through it, it's not really out of it, but to turn around and face it. And that's the first thing, is to recognize it and to not deny it of yourself and to not beat yourself up for it and not feel stupid or, like you can't talk to anybody. Talk to people if you need somebody to help you process it, and look for help. And then also, though, I don't recommend drugging yourself with alcohol or other drugs or pharmaceutical drugs. I recommend there's behavioral therapy, there's tapping, there's deep breathing is my favorite therapy for just about everything. And then the biggest thing of all, the thing that I really wanted to talk about, is it's self-talk. So if you start to tell yourself that you are a person with anxiety, you're going to continue to be a person with anxiety. So it's not denying it, like I mentioned before. You want to accept it, but you might say something like, I'm a person who has experienced anxiety, and I'm also a person who can learn and grow and adapt to my circumstances, so I don't have to have anxiety all the time. And myself, I'm a performer these days. I do some singing and playing guitar, and I've come a long way through video like this and through performing in front of people, both at practice and out in public, to overcome that anxiety, that kind of more what we would call maybe normal, rational, logical performance anxiety. Even that can be, you can learn to get past it by just deciding. I just decided that was, instead of being a person who's too shy to sing or too shy to play or who doesn't play my best or sing my best in front of others, I decided I'm going to overcome that. And I started practicing, and it's taken me years of practice, maybe more than it takes some people, but it's been an enjoyable process, and I continue to get better. But as I was getting ready for a gig that I had last night, and somebody asked me if I get nervous, and I realized, no, I don't get very nervous anymore. Now I still, like, I got a little lightheaded during the first set because I wasn't breathing properly. And so that's a little of anxiety, a little performance anxiety. So I still have some, but it's not debilitating. It doesn't keep me from performing or make me wonder if I'm going to have a heart attack anymore, And every now and then when I'm driving, when I started having these significant panic attacks, let's call them, that I mentioned, it was often when I was driving, and there's numerous reasons that I rationalize why that was that aren't really important, but I every now and then still get a little, like a wave, a little panic attack where my body, where my heart rate increases, my hearing changes, some significant, response to anxiety. But because I've learned to recognize that I've learned tools of breathing and I know I can get through it, it doesn't send me into a consequential, a secondary panic attack over the anxiety I'm feeling. I just breathe through it. Sometimes I talk to myself out loud. And that's kind of back to my main point, is self-talk is super important. And for me, sometimes I have to shift that to outside self-talk. What goes on inside is super important, probably the most important thing. And if you listen to your own thoughts, what you're thinking, that can give you a real clue as to why you're getting, the life that you're getting. And if you're so busy that you're just enjoying your life, then you're probably not listening to this. But if you are, I thank you. Or if you're not, I thank you. In either case, though, learning to recognize your own thoughts and see whether they're serving you or not is super important. And then a good way of changing them is to write them down. You can write down bad thoughts and burn them. That's actually a very effective way of changing your thoughts. There's something really real, concrete about putting your thoughts down with ink on paper and then watching them go up in flames, as far as changing a mindset, changing a pattern, a belief, or a thought that you don't want anymore. And then in order to instill thoughts, I find saying it out loud, and in fact, recording a video of yourself saying it out loud and then listening to it, which I happen to do quite a bit these days, especially now that I'm making these YouTube videos, is super helpful. It can really help put a new voice in your head, a new story in your head. So I was just listening to a young man on YouTube earlier today who Ty Speaks, shout out to you, and he was talking about anxiety and depression and stress and how important mindset is and how important our thoughts are. And I so agree. Everything in my experience tells me the same. So I hope you're minding your mindset, shifting your stories to be positive instead of negative, paying attention, starting to figure out and learn what your thoughts are and which of your thoughts and beliefs and actions are serving you well toward your goals, and which of them you might want to let go of and replace with better thoughts and actions and beliefs. That's my 2 cents for today. I'm on my way to the post office, and I wish you peace, prosperity, positivity, and potential.